So I would just share my excitement to be with all the team here, specifically the co-founder, because that's something we started together, and then we are moving forward for another adventure with Exercise 2. I'm talking about passionate topic at that time. I know that we are talking about the pandemic, but I'm happy because specifically we found it together. We made it the way we want it to be, and I'm excited that we have been joined by new scholars who are really finding exciting the topic, and I'm happy because we'll be sharing a tremendous experience of frontliners, and we'll use that experience to multiplicate the awareness of hesitancy, a challenge that we want to face is as one, as a community, to give ourselves chances to get rid of it. So that I'm really excited, really proud to be a member of the community. I know that we have many good news, specifically that community that we created, and we are ready, and some here are ready to support others to really make that experience successful. So thank you very much, Reda.
Thank you so much, Alain. Indeed, every one of you here is working day to day, every day, to keep vaccination services going. And here with the Peer Hub, we hope that this will bring something concrete and tangible that will help you in that daily work and also help each other. Charlotte?
Okay, thank you very much, Reda. And once again, greetings to everyone that's joined today's Global Assembly. Just to build on what Alain Blaise just said, that we are in a community and it's all about working together. So if you are here, just know and begin to feel that you belong to a community with one objective, one goal. Looking at what a challenge that it's like a major challenge at a time, vaccine hesitancy, and it's all about sharing experiences. It's all about looking at what each and everyone has done to address this in the past. Don't minimize your experience. Don't minimize what you have had to do, but just know that what you did yesterday could help some other person tomorrow to handle a challenge that he or she is facing. So it's a pleasure for me to be here, and I can't wait to get to listen to the experiences that scholars have to share. I can't wait for the program to actually be rolled out so that you get to discover, and I'm sure when you discover everything that's in store for you throughout this exercise, I'm sure you'll become as excited as we all are to be here. But I can already feel the excitement in the air. Thank you, Reda. Over.
Thanks. Thank you, Charlotte. All right, Shalini was actually on in the attendees. I didn't spot her soon enough. The COVID-19 Peer Hub is part of the ongoing work by the Geneva Learning Foundation, but I'd like to underline that the Peer Hub belongs to its members, so belongs to the immunization staff who are working to keep vaccination services ongoing. We are only accompanying you. We are alongside you to help in this fight now with the pandemic for vaccination, for immunization all over the world. Some practical issues. If you're sending your messages only to panelists, then only I and a few others will see it. So please select all panelists and attendees so that your colleagues who are also in the room can see your messages. And if you have a question, click on the Q&A button. You can see it here. So please don't miss that. Don't miss that button. You can also vote for the best questions. Right now, I see there's only one unanswered question about certification. So Ismail, we will deal with this. We'll take a look. But usually, if you don't receive your certificate, it's because you missed one certificate requirement. But we're always willing to double check. Now, here are a few of the quotes from the early days of the Peer Hub. And you can see here, actually, yeah. Well, you can't see it all, but you should. Apologies for that. About monitoring and the reluctance of clients. That is now something that is well known, that I imagine most, if not all of you, have been confronted with. The inadequate communication problem. The gains recorded may be eroded. You can see some of the message here from the early days of the Peer Hub and some of the concerns that we initially had. So that is what we are facing. That is what we want to tackle. Oh, I just figured out the problem here. Yeah. And when we launched a call for this second peer learning exercise, this time on vaccine hesitancy, I'm pleased to report that 2,800 2,787 scholars confirmed their participation for exercise 2, with a large influx of new scholars who've now joined the second exercise for the first time. And I'd like to ask you, even if you're alone in front of your computer screen, to put your hands together to warmly welcome newcomers and those of you who are back for this second exercise. I'm sure if we were in a physical room together, we would indeed. There'd be lots of cheers and applause. Now, today I'm going to give you the breakdown of what you need to know to make it through this exercise, whether you're new or whether you're a seasoned scholar. So here we are. This is a reminder of what we have done since July 27th, what you have done. And this is an amazing story of more than 4,500 people who applied, 3,904 who were accepted, who generated thousands of ideas, hundreds of projects, and then worked to implement those projects all the way through the 16th of October, reporting back on it through the Impact Accelerator, accelerating the pace of progress in the face of the pandemic. Now, why did we focus on this question of vaccine hesitancy? When in the Ideas Engine, and you'll be getting access to the Ideas Engine soon if you don't have it already, this question of restoring demand for vaccination through communication with communities and caregivers. You can see how many ideas and practices, more than twice as much as the next highest item, even higher than health worker safety. Just think about that. That means this really was a concern. And so we thought, well, in this, the whole point of the Peer Hub is sharing ideas and practices, sharing what works. And this is not to say do this or do that, but this is to nourish your thinking, to help you analyze what is making the difference for you, what is making the difference from others, and what we can learn from each other. And you can see here crisscrossing ideas, even from the United States or from South America, from various countries between continents, and you can see crisscrossing ideas and being shared. The same thing with different project roles, people who might be at the national level working in the capital city, really sharing and learning from ideas of subnational staff, of NGO staff, and really, again, crisscrossing sharing of ideas. The same between the different levels of a system. And this was in the first peer learning exercise. When we thought about this, we said we have to do the second one. We have to keep going to help support and help immunization staff support each other through this unique process. Now, this is not for everyone. And I'd like to also remind you that when you signed up, you also made 3 commitments. Remember the application form. So maybe you were in a hurry and you just clicked I accept 3 times, but we're going to share this slide deck with you, and please take the time to review these very carefully. There are 3 commitments. The first is a pledge to achieve impact. The second is a commitment to progress in the fight against COVID-19. And the third is about your commitments as a health professional serving public health. So if you disagree with even one line, one dot, one I in these commitments, then we'll ask you to leave the Peer Hub. This is how serious we are about having shared values be the foundation for our work together. So that is what we are about. And now I'm going to tell you a little bit about who we are. So you're sitting alone in front of your phone or your computer screen. You're seeing these messages in the chat. You're listening to me. We feel it's really important to give you a sense of who is together in this room. It might feel, if you're new, like complete strangers, but believe me, within a few weeks, this will feel, you will know that you are amongst friends, and you will feel it as well. Now, in exercise 1, we had 2,977 people who confirmed their participation. That was in July 2020. And then here for exercise 2, we have 2,787. So we were not sure whether the process would hold up. Maybe people would get bored or say, no, this is not really for me. It turns out, yes, there's an impressive number of people who, of course, are concerned by vaccine hesitancy. Now, who are we? We asked you for your country of focus. I'm going to get myself out of the way so that you can find your country on the screen. And there are people from 86 countries in the Peer Hub. And you can see them here from Afghanistan to Zimbabwe. All right, so once you've found your country, I'm now going to show you the countries by number of participants. French and English confirmed. There's a Francophone group working separately only because of a language issue. And you can see here you have 524 people from Nigeria who have committed to the peer learning exercise and vaccine hesitancy. The next largest group is the Democratic Republic of Congo with 478 participants. Cameroon with 183, Burkina Faso 164, Ghana 139. You can see the list goes down. And if you are from one of the countries where you are, of which you are the sole representative, I'd like to commend you and congratulate you. And it's just like being the only athlete from your country in the Olympics in a way. And we really want to support you, and we'll make sure that you too make it to the finish line. For people from larger countries, you'll likely to find a thriving, very dynamic country group, and we'll be introducing team leaders and COVID-19 focal points a little bit later and explaining how you can connect with people from your country. So, language, you can see the split here. A little bit more than half of the participants are Francophones. Age distribution, makes sense with respect to immunization professionals. Gender, women are underrepresented. We know that. You can see the split here. That was from July. And you can see that the split remains the same between the two, with around 1 in 4 participants in this exercise who are women. And we certainly need to do better there. Now, in exercise 1, 52% of you, were from the Ministry of Health, working for the Ministry of Health in your country. And in this exercise, 58% of you, so again, more than half, work for either the central team in the capital city or our subnational level staff. Now, in exercise 1 in July, we had a very experienced cohort, and this is the case again. You can see there's on the English speaking side, there are 175 people who have more than 16 years of experience in immunization. Now, COVID may be new for everyone, but that experience is something we can rely on. I'd like to ask those of you who are new to take the time to listen and learn, and I'd like to ask those of you who have a tremendous amount of experience, I'd like to ask for your indulgence and your patience with the newcomers and people who are new to the process or to immunization. Now, in July, we also asked about experience in outbreak response, and you can see we have a lot of people, again, with tremendous amount of experience in outbreak response. In some countries, more than in others, but still, we have a very, very experienced group. So this is the first stop. I want to ask now I see 4 hands already raised up. I'm going to lower the hands. And because this time I'm going to ask for answers to these 4 questions, I'm going to paste them into the chat because I know some of you had trouble seeing the screen due to bandwidth issues. And I'd like to ask, I see 3 people have already raised their hands. Right. So introduce yourself, your role, employer, city, and country. Tell us how you're involved in the COVID-19 response in your country. Tell us what's the most critical challenge that you're facing in relation to immunization services and COVID. And then where you work, are you being, to what extent are the following, and there's a whole series of issues we're interested in hearing, and you can choose which ones you're actually involved in. How have these been affected by COVID and preventive measures? So routine immunization services, vaccination campaigns, catch-up activities to vaccinate groups of persons who may have missed their vaccines. And then last, how has the pandemic affected vaccine hesitancy where you work? That's where we're getting closer to the topic of the exercise, of course. So I see Mamfo Mafareka and Abdul Hakim Abdul Karim, and I'd like to especially encourage those of you who are joining the Peer Hub for the first time today, as well as those of you who are returning after joining back in July. But let's hear some new voices. Let's go to Afaf Mohammed. Afaf,
hello.
Welcome back, I believe.
Yeah, I was a bit overwhelmed with the COVID-19 response, especially during August, September, because we had the highest number of cases in Bahrain at that time. I'm part of the surveillance team in Bahrain, and we work for more than 12 hours a day. So I was very busy. Now our numbers are coming down. So I thought of coming back to the vaccine hesitancy because this is part of my interest. The most Critical challenges was about when we started advising people not to go to the health centers for the minor illness. However, our vaccination coverage remains as high as it was. We might have been affected in 1 month, but it has been overcome on the other months. So overall, our vaccination coverage remain as high as it is, above 95% in most of the vaccines. The thing that we have stopped is because we have stopped the schooling in the government. We had the DAPT, or we have one dose that we give as booster dose for the 13 years old that we give at schools actually every year. This year, due to the COVID-19, we didn't cover all the school, but we overcome it by sending those students to the local health center to receive their doses. We don't yet have the coverage of whether we have completed all of them or not yet, because it has been just issued maybe 1 or 2 months ago. The vaccine hesitancy, on the opposite, I think the pandemic has proven to people the efficacy of vaccination, because all the time we are talking about the vaccine that it could solve the COVID-19. So we are seeing this year a bit of increase in the number of people who are willing to take the flu vaccine, which is not mandatory in Bahrain, and it's giving to high risk people, but whoever will ask for it will be given it. So on the contrary to what all the people might think, COVID-19 has decreased the vaccine hesitancy.
Very interesting, Afaf Mohammed. And indeed, that's why we phrased the question, how has the pandemic affected, rather than making assumptions about which way it's going. Thank you for this report from Bahrain. As you know, these questions were asked in the application questionnaire. So if you filled out the application, as you all did, you should recognize them and have already thought about them. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hands raised already. Thank you. However, this is a taster today. This is onboarding week, so there's some critical information I want to give you in order to really make sure that you know what to do next and you don't get lost along the way. And I see many messages thanking you, Afaf, for sharing. And this is the heart of the Peer Hub. We'll be sharing things like this, and there'll be many ways to share. And the case studies you'll develop will ultimately be key to the learning process. But rather than tell you about it, let's get down to the practical aspects and allow you to experience it. So there's a key question, what we're going to do in this exercise. And this is where I'd like to introduce Dr. François Gass. So François was with us throughout the entire first exercise. Together with Charlotte and Boo, they organized 4 sessions each week, working with Peer Hub members to develop, who are developing their action plans, supporting them, advising them, giving them feedback, listening to them as well. François, would you like to tell us about that experience, and how would you describe what we're going to do this time around?
Good evening, Reda, and hello to everyone online today. And on this session, I'm happy to be there and to be with you, and for the start of this exercise, number 2. I would say I've enjoyed a lot the previous exercise, because I've discovered the reality of the country from my office in Ibiza, in Spain, because I can't move. So I've learned a lot on what was going on in the field, how, what was the specific problem you faced, how you decided to address those problems and overcome them, and share with us beginning of some results of your interventions on the problem you saved. Now, we are continuing with this exercise, and I'm looking forward to hear your experience when you face a vaccine hesitancy. It may have been with one person, it may have been with a group of persons, it may have been in an entire district, or it may have been nationwide problems that have been addressed. And I feel that it's very useful to hear all those experiences, because I think all levels are a bit interrelated. For some of the hesitancy, the top level need to be involved. Sometimes there's no need to be involved. And I think the sharing of your individual experience that reflects your own context is very useful for everyone. I think the way with Charlotte, we're going to to be present was first to learn about what the situation in vaccine hesitancy you tried to address, how you did it, and what happened, to what pushed you in that direction. And we will be more trying to get more clarification for the sake of everyone, that everybody can understand what was the situation, what you did specifically, and what was the result that you achieved. So I'm looking forward to hear all of you presenting during those sessions your experience. Thank you. Over to you, Rina.
Thanks very much, Francois. So indeed, you can see on the screen really what you're between now and December the 18th, I believe, you're going to focus on developing a case study, but using a unique methodology that's going to require to learn a few new things if you haven't done it before about how you do it. We're going to be using peer review. We're going to be using different digital platforms. But the benefit is that there's likely to be significant learning for yourself about your own situation and helping others do the same. So every single week has a very specific objective, all right? Right now, you can see we're in the green bar, onboarding. This is where you're going to join the Learning Foundation website. There's a private area that only members of the Peer Hub participating in Exercise 2 will be able to access, and that's where you're going to prepare for the exercise. So what the key next step after this session is going to be to join this private area, and we haven't sent you yet the login and password, even if you're already a member of the Peer Hub. Next week, we'll be looking at orientation, so really exploring vaccine hesitancy together, sharing our experience, and preparing your case study. Week 1 and week 2 are really about writing up the case study. So we've asked you to start thinking about it now, but then really by the 4th of December, seems far away now, but it will come very quickly. We know how busy you are and we know how much you've got on your plate. So make sure you look at your calendar, take an honest look at it, and figure out when you're going to carve out time during the coming weeks. Now, let's be blunt again. 4 to 6 hours per week is what most people find useful. If English is not your native language, we are going to ask you to write in English. You probably need to budget extra time. And then the good news is that you can work at any time during the week. Recordings of the sessions are going to be made available. So you can really organize your time as you see fit. Some people actually enjoy doing it on the weekends. Other people negotiate time with their boss so they can do it at work. Whatever the case may be, make sure you have a system and a strategy to actually get this work done. What is going to be rewarded is not presence, but effort and the result. So there's some clear certification requirements that you'll also find the details of in the Learning.Foundation website in the private area specifically for this exercise. But basically, it's about getting the case study done and helping your colleagues do the same by contributing to peer review. So that's the basics about what we're going to do together. Now, what we mean by resources, we don't mean financial resources. We mean content, we mean ideas, documents that will actually help you put together the case study. So everything is going to happen in that private space on Learning.Foundation. You haven't received the email yet, but make sure you don't miss it. If you miss it, you won't be able to continue the exercise. What do these messages look like? You can see here. How do you access it? So first of all, if you are a new scholar, you get a new scholar account. If you were already a member of the Peer Hub in July 2020, you already have a scholar account. If you've already taken, say, a WHO scholar course, you already have a scholar account and should use that same information. So here you can see Minja, who prepared this slide deck. You can see that this is her username and password, which she should probably blank out, but this is a demo account. So if you don't find this, it means you already have an account. Second, you get the key to the Peer Hub exercise on vaccine hesitancy is here. You get a message that says you've been granted access. And if for any reason you don't remember your password, when you go to the sign-in page, you'll see that here there's a little link that says forgot password. So you'll see once you're on Learning.Foundation, there are 5 steps to onboarding. All 5 steps have to be completed by Friday. Some of them you have probably done already, others maybe not. All right, so that is what you need to know. I want to turn to Alain for his 3 top tips to new scholars who are doing this for the very first time. Alain?
Yes, Reda, thank you very much. And once again, good evening, good afternoon. So it's quite difficult to to just have just three Reda, but I think that is possible. First of all, I will say that the first thing to do as a scholar, as someone who believes that walking that extra mile, taking that load of work despite your own challenges faced at your workplace is the motivation. You have to be motivated. The motivation will make the difference. The desire to make that extra mile, to be in that community, to be helpful, to contribute, to learn and share. That is the motivation. Secondly, it seems to be something we don't talk a lot about, but everything that is what we are getting more difficulties if you are not reading. The good thing in the scholar community is really the support team. There are clear instructions, email, tutorial, well designed. They've done because you are a professional, because you're busy. That's why they are purposely done for that. So take 5 minutes, just 5 minutes to watch a tutorial, read instructions that are clear and detailed, and then you will be able to really come out with the content. I mean, enjoy the content because, in fact, we want us to be able to express ourselves. So the support is about having us as an actor to be able to contribute effectively. So the second thing that I would say, Rena, is to really read and read. Just take the 5 minute, read and watch the tutorial. That's the shortcut. And third is the leadership, the desire to help. Rena, you will talk about really soon what we call accompanists. I'm happy because we have folks in the room here. We did successfully SSR1, but they don't want to move on alone. They agreed to support others, newcomers. And why? Because they want to accompany others. And the good thing is, in the solar community, the more you provide your support to someone else and a professional like you, the better you understand the topic, the
That's
better
great.
you participate.
Thank you so much,
So we'll
Alain.
be sharing the bread. That is something that I would say. Support
All right.
others as soon as
So
you have.
next question. Some of you are asking very good questions. I've tried to answer in the chat. Remember, you should be using the Q&A to really make sure you get an answer to your questions. How do you get support if you need help? If what I've said so far is kind of confusing, you're not sure what you're supposed to do next exactly, well, first of all, you have, unless you're the only person from your country, you have people from your country who are also participating. When you join your country's Telegram group, you'll be able to meet your team leader for the country and the COVID-19 focal point. And then you'll be able to request support as well as offer help to others. So really think about your country colleagues as a resource. But remember, this is about the exchange between countries. So what I'm going to introduce next, what Alain kind of gave it away, is really about breaking bread together. And that's key to what we're doing in the Peer Hub. So it's not only about getting technical work done, it's about sharing. And in fact, it's so much about sharing that over the course of time, more than half of each previous cohort or group has volunteered to help the next one. And that's exactly what's happened with the Peer Hub. We have more than 300 volunteers who completed exercise 1 and have offered to help in exercise 2. So in fact, I'd like to take this opportunity to honor the 142 anglophone accompanists by sharing their names. They have decided, we invited them, but then they said, yes, I will be there for the newcomers, for those who get lost or confused, for those who don't know what to do next. I'd like to ask you already ahead of time to give them a round of applause. So there are actually 2 screens because there are so many of them. So once again, thank you to the accompanists. Some of you have been accompanists before, others have not. And here's what you can expect from them. You can ask, remember, they are just like you. They're holding down a full-time job and they've decided to join the Peer Hub to figure out how, by being connected with each other, we can do better in the face of the pandemic to keep vaccination services going and to prepare for vaccine rollout and delivery as soon as a safe and secure vaccine is available in your country. So I'd like to turn to the accompanists. I see there are 8 hands raised. I apologize. I'm going to have to lower all of them. Again, today is a teaser. We're just giving you a little bit about each each aspect, the things you absolutely need to know to make sure you progress in the Peer Hub, especially if you're a newcomer. So I'd like to ask one of the 142 Anglophone accompanists to raise their hands and to share with us, introduce yourself. What's your motivation? Let's go to Mohammed Imran Qureshi. All right. Imran, over to you.
Thank you very much, Reda. And this forum has transformed scholars from simple scholars, simple, like you could say, API immunization professionals, into the skilled, qualified, knowledgeable accompanists. And accompanists are groomed up people from this wonderful platform. So regarding myself, my name is Dr. Mohammed Imran Qureshi. I work as technical officer in EPI WHO Punjab. I'm based in Lahore, Pakistan, and I'm supporting all aspects of EPI program in the country, including the response to during the COVID pandemic and dealing with the emerging situation with the second or the third wave of COVID pandemic in my country. So definitely accompanists are highly motivated people. They not only accomplish and fulfill all the course requirements for themselves, but also keep vigilant and very active and very motivated to support to the new scholars whosoever require any sort of a support during their course, whether it is onboarding in the or onboarding week, or whether it is any assignment, any exercise, anything they need, any sport where they are like having some struggle, they are having some challenge to follow the course requirements, they can frankly request the accompanied support. And accompanists are like the same scholars, the peers. They could like guide and support in simplified way, like with the colleagues, like learn together, learn fast, learn without shyness, learn like the simplest way, and they can like support and chip in. So what areas we really require to be support. So during each course, what I found, or onboarding weeks and onboarding tasks is usually the areas where the new scholars need a bit of help, and here the accompanists can chip in and provide support. But apart from the onboarding weeks, in the subsequent weeks, during exercise, during other, even during development of the creator project, if the scholars need support, accompanists are always there by just like simplest request form, and you can get the support from the accompanists. They usually remain there in various WhatsApp groups, in Telegram groups, and they can like always keep on following all the queries, all the concerns, all the support and obstacles which these scholars usually have, and they are ready to support at each and every step. Over.
Thank you so much, Imran. And let me show you, so you heard from Imran, a very experienced accompanist, leader and committed accompanist, as well as team leader for the country of Pakistan. You will meet your team leaders in COVID-19 focal points by going here. You're going, remember, tonight, you're going to receive, so in the next few hours, you're going to receive the email that will let you into this website. Until you see this, Peer Hub exercise on vaccine hesitancy, you will not be able to find the information about your country team. And in fact, you can see here, there are the 5 steps that you saw on the slide. And step 3 is join your country group on Telegram and Skype. Only when you first go through the process of accessing your account on Learning.Foundation, getting to this dashboard, then you'll be able to join your country group, and you'll be able to access the list of country groups, which is here as a download. I want to highlight that. And also here, make sure you read, as Alain Blaise Tatsinku said, line by line, the information here. And then you have the list of country groups on Telegram and Skype. I'll explain why Skype in a few minutes. Again, today, we're not going to hear nearly as many voices as we will hear in the coming weeks, because there's vital information. There's no point to sharing of experience if tomorrow you don't know what you're supposed to do next. So let's get this out of the way first, and then we'll be able to make progress together. So 3 ways to get accompanist help. Starting tomorrow, all right? The Accompanists are opening up a daily support session Tuesday through Friday. So if you receive the email tonight, or maybe you don't have time to look at it until tomorrow, and you can tell you're going to need help, you're not sure you understood everything I've shown or how to do it, join the support session tomorrow. That's the best way to do it. You'll receive an email just like the ones you did for this General Assembly, only you'll receive reminders every day. So make sure those reminders don't go to spam, or else you might miss them. Now, let me be clear. We always have some very diligent people who think that because there's a session every day, that means they have to join every day. That is not the case, all right? You join when you need to, and there are 2 needs. 1, you need help, or 2, you're doing okay and you want to help others. Then you're an accompanist, all right? Now, some people have made that commitment because we know they have the experience, but we also see many people who do just fine, all right? And for those people, then we really want to, and actually that's most people. But of course, even if most people are doing just fine, if you're not, then that's, that can be difficult, painful. Next, you'll see we'll have the daily accompanist support sessions. Okay, so that's every day at 9:30 a.m. Geneva, starting tomorrow. So if you think you're going to need help, this is the opportunity. If you want to help your colleagues, that's also the opportunity for you. It's a 30-minute session. We keep them short and to the point. We look at, it's problem solving, and they will be led by the accompanists under the able supervision of accompanist number 1, Dr. Alain Blaise Datsinku. But there'll be many, as you can see, 149 accompanists who've committed to help you. Will they be there every day? Of course not. Remember, they're just like you. They're full-time professionals, but there'll be enough of them every day so that if you need help, you can find that help. Method number 2 to get help is to use this form to send a formal request for help. Actually, let me share with you the registration links here. So if you want to go ahead and register already for these sessions, you can do that right now. And the second one is to send a formal request for help. And this is the link. This is the form that you need to use. So if you do this, you'll get asked a bunch of questions, including a very important one. What have you done so far to help yourself? We see some people fall into a kind of dependency where rather than figure things out for themselves, they call on their accompanist. Remember, accompanist is just like you. That's not fair. So we ask you not to do that. Make sure you've done as much as you can. And once you're really stuck, that's when you call on the accompanist. Yeah. Now, third method is what we're calling SOS Accompanists. And it's a separate Telegram channel where accompanists have all been invited, that accompanists have all joined. So they've all been invited to join. And when you need urgent support, you can go to this channel and say, hey, I need help. But if you just say, hey, I need help, that's actually not very helpful. That doesn't tell us what the problem is. So make sure that when you join the group, you explain clearly what is the problem. The more you can tell us about the problem, the more likely it is that an accompanist is going to say, okay, I'm going to try to help this person. Don't be surprised if you just come in and say, oh, I'm having problems, but you don't say anything about what problems you're having, that no one may respond to you because no one has any idea what is the problem you're facing. All right? So that is the 3 methods to get help. The daily support session starting tomorrow, a formal request for help, and then connecting through the Telegram, through the SOS Accompanist channel on Telegram. Now we have worked our way through the key information. We'll have more information like this on Monday. Yes, that's right. So Heaney just said it very well. So the Dream Team has become a big team of 150 plus. I introduced Shalini Kare, Alain Blaise Datsinku, and Charlotte Mbou. They're now supporting 149 accompanists who are supporting 1,200 anglophone participants. Now, here are the questions we've got for you. And this is, again, we'll give you a taste of what we're going to do in the next few weeks. I'm again lowering all the hands. Thank you. And not everyone is going to speak, is going to get to speak in these sessions. We appreciate also one thing you can do is go to the chat and type your responses to questions. In this case, for those of you who have trouble seeing what's on the screen, I'm going to share this in the chat so you can see what the questions are. and we're going to call for volunteers. And this is really getting at what you'll be doing in the case study. Have you ever convinced someone to vaccinate children who needed it, and they started out being with hesitation or maybe even fear? So these are the 8 questions. So what was the situation? Was it before or during? Okay, I see Gioni M5 Plus. So I'm guessing that's a device name. Gioni M5 Plus. You raise your hand and you're lowering. Maybe you're trying to figure out how this works. Warm welcome to you. Don't forget to introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, where you work, city and country as well. Go ahead, please.
Yes. Hello.
Yes. Please introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Hello. My name is Nos Ibrahim from Nigeria. I'm working on the General Hospital Bunza.
Welcome. Can you see the questions? And can you tell us the story of a time when you convinced a person, a group, who was initially hesitant, reluctant, or even fearful, and at the end of the day, they accepted that their children needed vaccines and their children were vaccinated. Have you been in that situation before?
Yes, I have been trying my best. Hello.
Yes, we hear you. And Anita Bargava, you'll be our next presenter. So I ask you if you can mute while we listen to our presenter from Nigeria. Go ahead.
I used to convince several people on COVID-19 vaccination several times. Actually, it is very fearful for the others, and the rest is very simple, and the simplest, easier ways to agree with the vaccination. The major this thing that we are encountering, just like some, they are not even agree with those COVID-19 problems all over the world. But seriously, very soon they will agree with the vaccination. Inshallah.
Can you clarify for me? Do you administer vaccines? Are you a vaccinator, or do you manage? I understand you work in a hospital, or do you manage a vaccination program, or what exactly do you do?
Used to manage in the hospital.
Okay. And so, can you give me one example of a situation where that you were involved with directly? So not just the nurses or the doctors told you about what happened, but you were there. Can you tell me what that situation was?
I'm also a professional nurse working with the hospital committee. I even introduced myself to the committee so that I'm talking. I mean,
all right. We can hear coughing as well as a vehicle in the background. Are you still there?
right. Please.
Yes, please proceed.
Hello. Sorry for the interruption, please.
Yes, please proceed. It seems like Juni is having problems. Let's go to Anita Bargava. And this will happen. People who have a great story to tell, who've been waiting to tell it. It's really unfair, but that's the technology. And just think about how amazing it is that we're all able to connect to each other. Our previous presenter was from Nigeria. Anita, please do introduce yourself. We'd love to hear from you.
Hi, Rita. This is Dr. Anita from India, and I work as a monitoring, evaluation, and learning officer at JSI New Delhi. Okay, so the story which I have, it is a very fascinating story, and it's almost an year back. I whenever recall this story, I absolutely get fascinated about the story. And telling you, I am not a public health professional, and I'm not at all directly involved into the immunization services. But yes, because I immunized my child, so I know the importance of the vaccination and immunization, and that's why I was very curious if I someday, somewhere, I can help someone to get her children or other people to get immunized. So the story goes like that. I was at my hometown, that is Gujarat, if you are ever heard of that. It's a state of India. And there is a very small district which you can known as Vadodara, where that is my hometown. So I was staying along with my parents because my that time my child was small, little. So one day I was sitting just in my veranda, and then there was one lady who came along with six children just to have a chit chat. And this is a period I'm talking about. Last year somewhere, February March was the period. Okay, so that time I was sitting there, and she came along with just to know my well-being, because after a long time I went to my hometown. So just I asked about her immunization things for her children, and I asked about her youngest child's age. She said it is below one, and that also she was not approximately able to tell what was her age. She said, okay, this is he is less than 1 year. I said, okay, then what about his immunization? Whether you got the immunization done? So she was completely blank. I tell you, the look I still remember on her face, that she said, what is immunization? She asked me, like, what is immunization, where it is done, who does it, and where to get it. All such type of questions, simply she thrown upon me. I said, how you don't know, you got six children, and then you don't know, like, the vaccination is such an important thing for children. So she said, I don't know anything. Then I said, you have your husband, you have your peer group, and this and that. Nobody has ever told you about the vaccination. And you got six children. Like, imagine the six till the eldest son was somewhere around 15, 16 years old, and still she was not aware of the vaccination. So I thought, like, this is the very good opportunity to let her know about the importance of the vaccination, as well as how to get it and all that. So because, as I said, that I was getting my child immunized over there, so I knew the doctors, I knew the ANM, as well as Asha, who was working over there, and they were in a good contact of me. So that evening itself, I just contacted the ANM, and I asked them, such lady, and whose child has to be get vaccinated for, because it's less than 1 year. So first of all, he needs to get the measles vaccination, and others if he is eligible to. So she asked me, okay, let me know the name of that person. I'll directly come to here that place. And the evening itself, that very evening itself, the ANM was so active that I called that lady. I called the ANM. They met together, and then they talked each other. They interacted, and she took all the details of the child. And the very next session, wherever it was going to held, she said, please do come along with this card, along with this. And Asha also took the responsibility to bring the child along with her mother. And it was such a magic thing happened that she went there and she got her child immunized. And then she happily came to me. Oh, madam, I got my child immunized and I'm so happy. So, that her, I still remember the tears rolled over her face, and she was so happy that, okay, at least my youngest child got the vaccination. So this is the way the story is there, and I always cherish this, and I always share to my close people who are there, and just to know the importance of this. And this way also, I now got the recognition in my society. Okay, this is one lady that from whom we can contact in time of such type of things when we don't have awareness of vaccination. And through me also, now it has percolated down, or it had trickled down to nearby places. So I feel really great about that thing. So this is the small story which I wanted to share. Thanks, Reda.
Thank you, Anita Bhargava, for this for sharing this this story. So, as I understand it, you are a medical doctor, but you don't at all work in immunization. But you were able to personally, in a sort of private sphere, influence and
Yes.
move someone from hesitation to acceptance. That's a very interesting case, and we hope there are more people in civil society who are doing this in a rational, sensible way. Thank you, Anita. So we have, again, many hands raised. We have just under 10 minutes so I would like to ask, it would be lovely to hear from new voices. So if you have already been, if you are new, I especially encourage you to raise your hands. Not to say we don't appreciate people who are quite willing to share. So let's go to, all right, let's go to, let me see. I saw there's some people who lowered their hands, it seems. Let's go to Esther Kebange. Esther, please go ahead and unmute yourself. You now have, your microphone is now active. Go ahead, Esther. We'd love to hear from you. And please don't forget to introduce yourself. Tell us who you are. If you're new or returning to the Peer Hub, whatever the case may be.
Good evening. My name is Esther Kebange. I'm from Ghana, a health information officer. My experience with vaccine hesitance was, I think, somewhere in 2017, where I was monitoring a local community where almost everyone.
Esther, sorry to interrupt. Can you tell me city, country, and your role, please?
Country, Ghana, and then the city currently is Kumasi. But the challenge I had was in Wa, in the Upper West region. Yes. With the community I was basically a peasant farming community where almost everybody lived for their farms, and we were carrying out an exercise. So, and targets have been given. After day 1, day 2, we were not meeting our targets. So what happened was we had to involve the community members, and then we have to move from door to door instead of positioning ourselves in the designated areas. Yes, and that actually works for us. We're able at least to get close to our target, though we're not able to make it. And I think what helped us was the community involvement. We involved the unit committee member who led us in everything that we were doing. And he was able to talk to his people, and they were able to give us access to get the children being vaccinated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you tell us, so the relationships with the community members, were these already in place, or was it something that you had to build in response to this problem?
Yeah, they were already there. They are always there.
Okay.
Yes, they were already there.
And was this was before the pandemic?
Yes, far before the pandemic.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So then, so can you tell us, in the conversation you had with these community, with the sort of community relationships that you had, what words did you use to get the messages across? Tell us what you actually said, if you're able to recall.
Once we realized we're not meeting our targets, what we did was we talked to the unit committee member to help us assess the children so that we could give them the vaccine. And then we explained the importance. What was important? It was very important for us to give the children the vaccine, and then what it means for some of the children being mixed up out of the exercise. And then we tried to convince him by using words. Example, those kids having polio challenges, we use them as example to convince the unit committee chairman, and then he led us in all the things we were doing, and we were successful.
That's a wonderful story again, Esther Kebange, and we deliberately chose to focus on the stories where you actually move people from hesitancy to acceptance, which is not to deny the reality that in many cases such efforts do not succeed. But we believe there's more to learn from things where immunization staff were able to produce or foster change. So thank you very much for your contribution. I see many more hands raised. It's really wonderful to see this much enthusiasm on this topic. Okay, wow, there's like 20 hands raised. We have 5 minutes remaining, and again, this is disappointing for me because I would love to spend the rest of the time listening to such stories. I look forward to reading the case studies that you'll be developing in the coming weeks. But your goal today is not just to swap stories. It is actually to make it to this space that you are seeing here. If you have not seen this yet, except on my screen, if you have not been here yet, then that is your next step. And you will only be able to progress to this next step. Starting tonight, we're going to send you an email. So if you only access email at work, you'll find it tomorrow morning. And that email will authorize you to access the private space that is reserved for Peer Hub members who are participating in exercise 2. So you can see here, once you're here, you'll have 5 steps to work through. The first step is to really make room in your calendar for the Global Assembly. So you made it this time, or if you're watching the recording, you didn't make it, but we expect to see you on next Monday. Step 2 is to check that you are connected on Telegram. So to answer Afaf Mohammed's question, there is a general Telegram group. Now, if there's too much chatter, we give you an option to just subscribe to the announcements. So you don't have all of the discussions in the chat. You only get the important announcements from our team. Step 3 is to join your country's group on Telegram and Skype. Step 4 is really to start thinking about the case you will work. So answering questions such as those that you will see on screen. But just because you lived a situation, we'll first ask you to describe it, but we're also going to ask you to think about it. What does it mean? Can it be used in other places? Are there risks? Is it something that's recommended by your country, or is it something that you came up with and adapted in response to an unexpected situation? There's all kinds of questions we'll ask you to think about and consider. And step 5 is really, if you have trouble with any of these steps, you can jump to step 5, because this is about getting help if you need it. So once you make it to this space, you'll find tutorials that show you how to, you basically click on each step, and then under each step, you'll see that there is actually text, videos, all right? So here you have, and really Alain Blaise Tatsinku's instruction or advice is key. Make sure you read through carefully, line by line. Might seem a bit tedious, but if you don't do it, you might be pulling your hair out later when, in fact, the simple answer to the problem you're having might have been right here, such as what to do if you can't join a Global Assembly session. So that's what we're going to do in the next, in the next 24 to 48 hours. You have until Friday to actually complete this step. So to join the private area reserved for Peer Hub members, and to work your way through the 5 steps of onboarding. And then starting on Monday the 16th, orientation week will be open, and you will see more updates here. Now at the bottom here, you'll be able to find the recordings of the live sessions. So if you've made it to the dashboard, you'll be able to find it, and you miss a session, that's okay. And last but not least, I want to go back and highlight again that starting tomorrow, the Accompanists, so they're just like you. They also have a very busy schedule. They're taking time out tomorrow morning Geneva time, maybe afternoon or evening for you, depending on where you are, to actually provide support, answer your questions, help you get on board so you get to the private area reserved for Peer Hub Exercise 2 members, and will be on hand to answer questions, show you how it works, help you solve whatever problems you may be having. So that is it for today. I'd like to give a big round of applause to all of the participants who presented and all of those who wanted to present. Next week, we'll also be introducing the ideas engine. So as you think about your case study, you'll be able to look at many, many different examples of what the ideas and practices that people have used to challenge vaccine hesitancy and work for improving demand to vaccination. So let's do the round of applause. Thank you as well. I see the thank yous in the chat. Big applause, big round of applause to all of you who are joining the Peer Hub today, and to health professionals everywhere who are keeping vaccination going and fighting vaccine hesitancy, moving people from hesitancy to acceptance. Next week, we'll also be you'll be meeting your country colleagues on Skype if you haven't met them in Telegram before. That's it. Take care, and look forward to seeing you next week.